What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Devy YouTube channel. I'm your host, Kevin Coleman, and we're back with another edition of our 2023 rookie review. So we've been going through all the positions and looking at how we should value them. Are they buys? Are they sells? Are they holds? And going over their advanced stats. And we're going to the quarterback class today, diving into CJ Stroud and all these guys, looking at their passing charts. What does that look like? And giving you a whole overview of the guys. We're going to be looking at the top four guys. Can't go deep. I'm not going over Clayton Tune here on the channel. But we are going to go over that now. All the stats you see are from the fantasy season, week 17, right? Not this week. So please don't be throwing those things in the comments saying I got the stats wrong. However, actually, no, go do it for the algorithm. But that's why the stats you see are the ones on the screen. So let's dive into the rookie review. Let's talk about what these quarterbacks have been doing. And, what do we expect from them moving forward in Dynasty? So, last year, we always got to talk about ADP from last year. We had Anthony Richardson, Bryce, CJ, Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, Stetson Bennett snuck into the top six. I don't know what the hell was going on there. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jaron Hall, Jake Haener, and Aiden O'Connell going in that top 10 area. And, that was pretty much consensus. CJ Stroud in rookie drafts and superflex drafts are going about the 106. Usually it was Richardson, Bryce, JSN, Gibbs. And then, sometimes when you're looking at it, it depended on, who was their guy in terms of the next pick, 105, 106, it's 107 in that range. But CJ generally was going in that area. But he finished at number one, right? QB 10, 18.6 fantasy points per game. Absolutely balling out this year. Anthony Richardson, QB 14, 17.7 in the games that he played in the 4 games. Will Levis, QB 31 at 12 fantasy points per game. Then we had Tommy DeVito, Tyson Bagent, Aiden O'Connell. Bryce Young sitting at 10.5 fantasy points per game, QB 39. Does not do us Bryce Young people any favors. We're going to talk about that. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jaron Hall, and then Clayton Tune rounds out the top 10. But let's dive in. Let's talk about the spotlights. Let's go over what we see from these guys. And first up, CJ Stroud. By the numbers, had a fantastic year. 77.9 PFF passing grade, 4.2% big time throw percentage, 3.0 turnover worthy play percentage, 73.6 adjusted completion percentage, PFF passing grade with a clean pocket, 91.4. There is no better thrower of the football. And I said that. I feel old. Then CJ Stroud when he has a clean pocket. This dude just gets it where it needs to go. Pinpoint accuracy looks really, really good. Under pressure, I think, is where he's got to improve at. 42.7 up passing grade under pressure, which isn't terrible comparable to other numbers, but you'd like to see him improve a little bit when he is getting pressured. But you see the raw stats there, 3,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3 rushing touchdowns. It'll be interesting to see if he adds that to his game next year. If he can do that, that's obviously going to help out his fantasy, his ceiling when we're talking about it. Here is his PFF passing depths. One thing you should notice is the 20-plus yard throws. Down between the numbers, 11 for 14, 307 yards. Outside right, 12 for 23, 438 yards. Even outside left, looked really good, right? And if you watched his last week when he played against the Colts, that first throw that he had to Nico Collins on that deep ball, absolute dot, pinpoint accuracy. Then he throws the ball better down the field than he possibly does short, right? The 0 to 10. Like, he looks really, really good down the field. That's impressive. And I think that's the one area that people missed on his game last year. But many liked it. Here at TDR, we really loved, CJ Stroud. We talked about how he is a very, very good quarterback and how he can develop, and D'Amico Ryans and Solik and those guys have done a really good job. Now, as far as where he's getting ranked, anywhere from QB4 to QB6, as you can tell, what his value's at, Stroud for Goff first and a second. I would smash the Stroud side there. I think if that's a late first, Goff is a depreciating asset. A second, hey, I want a top 5 guy. I don't mind going to get CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud for Levis first and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's the price you pay for a quarterback. I will say this, though. I love Amon-Ra. If that's a late first, I get it. I don't want Will Levis in there. There is no way I'm tearing down to Will Levis if I'm a CJ Stroud owner, unless that can net me Caleb or Drake or maybe Jaden Daniels. Maybe, right? But if that can't net me one of those 3 guys, why would I tear down all the way to Will Levis? It doesn't make any sense because it caps your ceiling for your fantasy team. If I want anybody in that Will Levis spot, it'd be the tier of like Brock Purdy and all that with those other assets. Even then, I get a little nervous, right? I think I like the Stroud side there. Now, CJ Stroud for 2 first, yes. And this is the one I put out on social media. Got a little buzz out there. So CJ Stroud, David Njoku for Justin Herbert, TJ Hawkinson. I think, to me, Hawk coming off the knee injury, Njoku's playing pretty well. I know they say Watson doesn't throw the tight ends, but historically when he does, he throws touchdowns to them if you go back to his Houston days. I think I like CJ Stroud in this deal. I like Justin Herbert too, but I think that, Stroud being a little bit younger, I love him in this offense. I don't know what Herbert has yet. I think it's a lot closer than people think here on the CJ Stroud deal. Now, let's go to Anthony Richardson. By the numbers, 56.5 PFF passing grade. Only played in 4 games, though. Big time throw was there. Turnover worthy play, 3.7. Adjusted completion percentage was 71, right? So when you see the completion percentage down there on the bottom of the screen, 59 is not great. But adjusted, hey, he's okay there. PFF passing grade, clean pocket, pretty good, 64.7. And then under pressure, he's not as bad as CJ Stroud. In terms of they're pretty identical in terms of their PFF passing grade under pressure. I like that. I think the thing with Richardson is his upside at the rushing, right? 4 touchdowns, didn't do it too much, did get injured. That's the thing. People are going to say he's injury prone based on what happened this year. And, he does not have a ton of games under his belt in college either, right? So that was always the big knock. So that's the thing to do. Now, the reason why I say hold him is because his value is always going to be baked into that upside ceiling play. That's Anthony Richardson's value. So just know that going in. That's his value there. And his passing depths, again, very limited because the throws were limited. We didn't see a ton, though, 20 or plus, right? Not a ton there. I don't know if we're ever going to see a ton 20 or plus there. I do think that his offensive system with Steichen there is really good. I like that system, and I like what you're going to do, but a lot of it's going to be around, in terms of Michael Pittman. Downs is going to be there, Pierce, those guys. A lot of it's going to be heavy predicated on run-heavy, scheme, him and JT, and have that upside from a rushing standpoint, right? Now, his dynasty ranks, QB7 to QB9, depending on where you look at, right? What he's going for. Richardson, Steven in a first for Olave, Stafford in a first. Richardson is 2 firsts for Josh Allen, right? Richardson, Wilson in a first for Mahomes and Diggs. And then Richardson a third for Will Levis and Jalen Waddle. Again, I don't want any deal with Levis in it if I am a Richardson owner. There's no way I'm tearing down that low, right? The other ones, though, I think, they're pretty fair on all the sides. I don't mind any of them. I understand going at Josh Allen for 2 dart throws in Richardson. I understand going to get Patrick Mahomes, right? And you get Diggs, you'll win now. Hey, you can have Garrett first and Richardson. I like all of these deals for him. To me, he's a hold because he's hard to value because people are going to value him at their ceiling. You really don't want to go buy him for Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, in my opinion, because that's a little nerve-wracking. But he's not necessarily just a hole, or he's not just like a sell because you could get him for Will Levis and Waddle, which I like that deal. And I even like Waddle. But if I can get a third back, I'm comfortable with my wide receiver room. I like that deal. That's why, to me, he's a hold unless the market is there. Now, if you have any deals that you think you're pondering, drop them in the comments, and I will get to them. Now, next guy is Will Levis. To me, he's the sell of the group. I was never a big Will Levis fan. I wrote in the Football Guys rookie guide that we do that, he's a Ponzi scheme. I don't like what I see from him. The big one is that bottom one. 36.1 PFF passing grade under pressure is not good. And he's never been good at that, right? This isn't a case of like Bryce Young being good at it. And then all of a sudden in the NFL, oh my gosh, Will Levis has never been good there. Turnover worthy play, 4.5%. Not very many big time throw percentage. Adjusted completion was okay, but clean pocket, 79.7 in clean pocket, that concerns me as well. To me, when you're looking even at his numbers here, he's got an arm. He has the arm talent. You can see that. I just don't know if he has the consistent arm talent. I think his mechanics are always spotty when he was under pressure. That's something I wrote about in the guide. Like, it's just spotty with his mechanics there. As far as his dynasty ranks, he's all over the place. 19 to 25 in terms of the 3 sites that we're using here. Levis, Waddle, 2 firsts for Justin Jefferson and Jared Goff. I really like that deal for, the Justin Jefferson, Jared Goff's deal. If you can consolidate some of those assets, those are late first for Waddle and Levis. I dive into that one. Levis, Amon, and first for CJ that we just saw before. I like the CJ side there if I can sell Levis for that and pair him. Levis for a first. You know what? If Levis is your QB2 or 3, or 4, I like the re-roll for the first. If I can get in that tier, right now my tiers, 101, 102, 103 to 105, 16, 17, and then like maybe 108's in there. If I can get somewhere in that 16 to 109 tier, I probably flip that for Levis. And then 25 first is a total re-roll, but I don't mind getting the first back for Levis at this point because I do think that first is going to continue to go up in value where Levis is not. right? Now, last guy that we're going to talk about as a spotlight, Bryce Young. Oh, okay. Let's get into the numbers. 52.7 PFF passing grade. Awful. Big time throw percentage, 3%. Not good. Turnover worthy play. Not bad. 71.7 adjusted completion. That's pretty good. 75.2 passing grade, clean pocket. Not good. And oh my God, when I saw this number, I could not believe my eyes. 26.9 passing grade under pressure. Now, I don't know how much that is a combination of poor offensive line play, poor weapons, and then just poor play by Bryce. But it's not good, right? So if we're taking him, I'm putting a buy on this. The reason I'm putting a buy is because his price is pretty low. You're believing in what Bryce was in college more than what he was with Carolina. The issue is Carolina's a freaking dumpster fire. It is a problem. You got the owner there. You have all these things going on. It looks like they're going to fire the general manager as well. They don't have necessarily the draft capital to go get Bryce a guy. What are they going to do in the offseason? Are they going to actually try to add guys? So for me, this is a worst case scenario for Bryce. However, I'm still buying because it's such a worst case scenario that I think he's a value out there, but it's definitely risky if you're going to buy Bryce Young. I think on a contending team, you don't want Bryce, but I think on a rebuilding team or a retooling team, he's a fun dart throw because I still believe in the talent. This guy was a Heisman. He was absolutely balling. He's the only team to beat Georgia, only quarterback to beat Georgia in the last 2 years outside of the Alabama just win there. Like, he was really good. He didn't just disappear. He got his powers taken away like Space Jam, and we got to get him back, right? When you look at his passing depth, not amazing, in terms of what he was doing there. But Dynasty ranks, QB 17, QB 17, QB 15. So he's across the board in terms of like his Dynasty ranks here. Now, the reason why I say he's pretty cheap is you look at some of these deals. Bryce Young for George Pickens in a second. I like George Pickens. I've been a George Pickens guy. If you can afford to move off George Pickens in a second for Bryce and you need that quarterback, I don't mind this deal at all. A Young in a second for Tank Dell. I know some people will really think highly of Tank Dell. I don't necessarily, I think you could probably get a wide receiver in a second, maybe. Not necessarily Tank Dell with the situation that he's in, but still some value there for that quarterback. And again, if you're in Superflex and you need a quarterback, sometimes you got to just pay the piper, right? Bryce Young for Jordan Love is an interesting one because there's a lot of guys out there that think Jordan Love's a top 10 Dynasty asset. So you might be able to get plus something on that side, right? And then Bryce Young in a fourth for Will Levis. If I can get Bryce Young for Will Levis today, I'm doing it. And I will not apologize for that. I still think he's a value. I still think he's a buy. Now, final verdict on all these guys. CJ is a buy. Richardson, to me, is a hold. Levis is a sell. Bryce is a buy. These other guys, when you see hold there, that just means they might have some value at some point. Like I think DeVito's done enough. Tyson's done enough. Dorian Thompson-Robinson's done enough. Clayton Tune and Jake Hayner maybe could see some type of value spike at some point. So those are more stashes than anything. Sells to me are guys that I'm just like, get something. Hall, Aiden O'Connell, I don't think are going to be things. Hendon Hooker is the one buy of the guys that we didn't mention that, he could have some type of role. Like you're hoping Hendon can be Geno Smith at some point in his career. I'm not throwing dirt on him because he was injured. Jared Goff's situation's interesting, but I think Hendon Hooker is going to end up starting a game at some point. And I do think that there's going to be value here. If you can stash him, I've had a lot of questions about Hendon in my DMs asking, hey, he's on the waiver wire. Should I stash him? Yeah. If you have a free spot, stash the guy like that, especially at the quarterback position. You get him in throw-ins. Hendon Hooker might not be a bad throw-in in some deals that you do. So this was the 23 class review for the quarterbacks. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments who you buying, who you selling. Are you out on Will Levis like I am? Are we giving Bryce a chance? Who's with me? It's like Jerry Maguire. Who's coming with me with the Bryce Young? Or are you leaving me in the dust? You're saying you're crazy. So leave in the comments. Let me know. I'll check you guys next time.